at what point did you guys kind of partner up and make this marriage happen?
Jim, that actually took place at a very impromptu steak dinner.
Nice.
My beautiful wife and parents were every few months. We go to our favorite spot in the Central Florida area, and happened to hit up the piano bar after dinner that night on the other side of the restaurant. And a guy that you can't miss in any room named the Titan Adam Shear was also enjoying some steak that night. I think he had a few more ounces than I did at his meal that night.
Brandon, how's it going?
Hey, Jim, I'm well. How are you? It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. For a second, I thought you were a wrestling show like right now when I saw your background.
It's always a wrestling show, man.
Awesome. Where are you at?
I live in Florida. How about yourself?
Chicago.
Okay. How are things there today?
You know what? It snowed a few days ago and it's like 60 today. So typical Chicago, springtime.
I went to college at Mizzou, so I had my experience of Midwestern springs, that's for sure.
Turns on a dime, man. It drops 30 degrees in one day, to another. So
yeah, and we've had unseasonably cool weather here in Florida. So I would imagine you guys are really cold. What we call cool in Florida is like I have 72. So
yeah. So here it'd be like t-shirts and shorts for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. You can always tell
wave.
the Floridians in that weather.
Hey, I envy you though for that heat. So there you go.
Yeah, it gets a little muggy the other 9 months out of the year though.
There you go. Well, you've had a busy couple of weeks, right? I mean, it seems like.
Yeah, man, we're rocking and rolling. We went live almost 2 weeks ago, and the response has been tremendous. And between getting the audience to discover us and entertaining new potential content partners, it's never a dull moment. But we're having a lot of fun. You're a follower of the wrestling industry in addition to entertainment? Yeah. So it's pretty hot time right now.
Totally. I remember when EC3 was talking about a TV deal, that's going to be launched. That was the talk of the dirt sheets, like where, what, and then there we go. Now the mystery's been unveiled. So
hey, always keep them guessing. That's part of the fun of this industry.
Really is. I mean, that's what draws people in, and now at a day and age, I feel like in the industry where there's so much, there's not that one monopoly that's been going on for a couple of decades. It's cool to see the freedom, literally of wrestling companies and the change in the industry and the evolution of it. It's a really hot time to get in. I feel like that aspect of it. So I think you're at the forefront really of the next wave of what wrestling is now.
That's the hope. Yeah, that's we think it's. I don't think I've been a lifelong wrestling fan. I don't think it's been this hot since the Monday Night Wars in the mid to late 90s. So we're excited to carve out our spot in the industry.
Why not? Right?
Yes, sir.
I'm curious about your background. Like, you mentioned being a wrestling fan. Were you involved with wrestling ever? Is there another business that you kind of made yourself in that got you to this point?
Yeah. So my background is pretty unorthodox. I mean, I grew up loving wrestling, a child of the late 80s into the 90s. And like I just said, the Monday Night Wars really shaped my fandom in the sport. Mm-hmm. And then I've never done anything in it up until now. I've been a TV producer the past few years. So initially bringing that TV background and then having recognized what the landscape looked like in the TV industry. And that's what, I combined my love of wrestling with seeing an opportunity in television, the way the world is connecting via smart devices and over-the-top distribution. And we saw a real opportunity for what has now become pro wrestling TV.
Mm-hmm. When did you kind of start on this? When was the inception of this idea to starting pro wrestling TV? Like when did you know this is something you want to do and go forward with?
Well, our company is a media company called Pod TV. So we work in producing and creating both in podcasts and TV. And in a few instances, we've married up content from both worlds. So we really saw an opportunity in the over-the-top television space. And that's a space that includes everybody from the subscription-based Netflixes of the world to the, free ad-supported Plutos and Tubi
Yeah.
TVs and so forth, to put out some themed channels. So our first one was a true crime channel that's done very well. It's about a year old. And then as we started looking at the landscape to replicate that model, for me, wrestling was a no-brainer because of the great content that's being created. Obviously, there are different places you can find it, but there's really not anybody that's putting it all into one wrestling only centric network and channel like we are. So once we got a feel for what the industry thought of it, and the response within the wrestling industry has been tremendous for the last 7 or 8 months as we started working on this, we started to see what the fans would think. And sure enough, there was an appetite for what we're doing. And like we just talked about, we went live a couple of weeks ago to great feedback and success so far. So now we just got to keep getting the word out.
No question. And that's interesting because like the podcasting, when it comes to everything in general, entertainment is the hottest it's been. Everyone's doing a podcast technically who's been in any industry, especially in wrestling. I mean, there's some of the most successful podcasts are, JR's had one, Jericho for a long time. I mean, these are like hot commodities, in a sense where you have a network here, you can bring these podcasts. But at what point did you think that you could bring an actual wrestling promotion into your, podcast? That's a whole different ball game right there to air a promotion exclusively on your network versus just a podcast where, there's a lot of competition elsewhere.
Sure, absolutely. Well, that's, I think that's part of what's unique is the recipe that we've created in terms of curating content, not only in the ring, but outside of the ring. We'll also be producing our own original content over the next few months that we're excited to show people. But yeah, that's the other thing. I don't think wrestling has been better in the ring across the board in years. And there's some great promotions around the world. And we started talking to a few of them, and they were really excited about what we were doing. So we've created with PWTV 2 different viewer type experiences. You have our linear channel, which is the same. It's basically a cable channel. So if you want to put that on in the background while you're working from home, like you do at ESPN or your news network, we want you to do that. And it's going to be 24/7 wrestling content, or then you can find the promotions on demand. But we're being really curated about the kind of promotions that we bring on, because we want there to be a variety of wrestling in terms of what viewers are seeing in the ring. So you might see AAA Lucha Libre one night, and then the action from New South Pro Wrestling the next. And we're going to be pretty curated. By the end of April, we'll have, I believe we'll have 7 promotions on our network, most of which will be exclusive. So we're excited for the fans to start discovering them and exploring. And those are promotions from all around the world. So that's where that variety component comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wrestling content, but how do you feel confident, secure that you're going to actually have original content 24/7? Because 24/7, that's something, that's going out there on a limb, to have that available. It's great for the viewer that you can tune in anytime and have wrestling content. But as a content creator and producer, were you worried initially maybe that you might not have enough content to constantly keep it going, with no dead air in a sense?
No, actually, it was the opposite. The more we've talked to people, there are a lot of creators out there, and that's something too that was really important to us, especially when you talk about the out of the ring content. You're going to see wrestlers creating their content in a way you haven't seen before, or maybe you have seen it before, but they've had to leave it behind when they've left another company, perhaps. So with us, they have an ownership stake. They're a part of the creator economy, and we're really excited to bring some of their visions for their brand and their characters to life. Storytelling outside of the ring, but just because it's happening outside of the ring, it still could permeate into what takes place inside the squared circle over time. So that's why we've created an experience, and we are creating an experience in the months to come, where you want to make sure you're tuning into our network, because you never know what happens on one show could come into play on another. And that's what's really exciting about what we're doing for us.
Now, at what point did you kind of partner up with the EC3 and control your narrative? How early on for them creating the promotion in a sense, and you kind of linking up to be kind of the viewing point of them, for the mass audiences? At what point did you guys connect together or come across that you wanted to work together? Was it after they already established their thing, or when they were even planning to establish their thing? At what point did you guys kind of partner up and make this marriage happen?
Jim, that actually took place at a very impromptu steak dinner.
Nice.
My beautiful wife and parents were every few months we go to our favorite spot in the Central Florida area, and happened to hit up the piano bar after dinner that night on the other side of the restaurant. And a guy that you can't miss in any room named the Titan Adam Shear was also
Oh yeah.
enjoying some steak that night. I think he had a few more ounces than I did at his meal that night, but we
I
just
would
got to
imagine.
talking. Yeah, absolutely. We just got to talking, and PWTV was in its development stages, and I told him what we were up to, and he said call us Monday morning, and lo and behold, he was partnering with EC3 on this new promotion that we've been really excited about. They had already produced and put out 2 full-length feature films, the Free the Narrative series. And what really, the 2 things that really appealed to us were the cinematic presentation. I think their team has an eye out for a very unique way of presenting wrestling storytelling, and also the way that they're bringing these character stories full circle from where they began to maybe where they ended up in some of the more corporate machines in the industry. So we're excited. We did our first taping with them in Dallas, and that's going to be available in a couple of weeks on Pro Wrestling TV. And I think everybody's really going to be excited about what's to come, including a weekly series. And we'll also premiere Free the Narrative Part 3, which is the final installment of this cinematic universe they have created. That'll come out a little bit later this summer. So yeah, that's a fun promotion we're really excited about. And Adam and EC3 and all the people involved have a really good mind for the business. So we've also learned a lot from them too.
That's insane. Over over a dinner, huh? That's usually how the crazy things happen, right? Like that.
Lo and
By
behold,
chance.
yeah. I don't think if Adam hadn't gotten up to grab a drink at the bar, we might not have ever had the chance to talk. So we need to go tip that bartender generously next time we're there.
Literally, man, and
Yeah.
enjoy a steak, all of you, on the
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's so crazy. But did you have you two as a content creator and someone that's been in production and television, how much you need to have faith too in the projects you take on, or the brands that you take on? Did you have kind of sort of immediate faith after that Monday discussion that you had with them, that call that these guys are here and they're going to be here to stick around? Because sometimes with wrestling promotions, they come and go. How much faith did you have from them initially that this is a thing that it's got lasting appeal and that they got a good infrastructure to continue merging together with you to survive in a sense going forward?
Well, first off, we obviously saw the 2 films that they had put out previously, and that really got our attention. And then I also went to their first live event in the Orlando area about probably 7 or 8 weeks ago at this point. And I saw the wrestling fans gravitating toward what they were doing, and it really resonated, that the type of brand that they're creating. So that made me more confident in our partnership with them. And obviously, names like EC3 and the Titan Adam Shear, formerly Braun Strowman, they could probably write their ticket in just about any promotion, around the world right now. And I know there are a lot that they may do some crossover stuff with, that you may even see come across Pro Wrestling TV here soon, that we're really excited about. But the fact that they were going all in on this promotion, and they were looking to do it in a way that gives current stars an option to do something a little different, but also help elevate the new guys out there that are looking to make their mark in the industry. We're very excited to be a part of that. And then the relationships just kept building from there. Maria Kanellis Bennett, Eric Redbeard, New South Pro Wrestling, AAA, Lucha Libre. I mean, you just can't go wrong with the mix of content partners that we have on the network. So we're excited to do things with them individually, and then also creating some ways for there to be crossover worlds into each other's universe, which I think the fans will really get a kick out of.
Yeah, that's really important too. And especially you mentioned the crossover thing. When you have these names, I mean, they're kind of the foundation of it. These are mainstream names in the wrestling world. And it seems like the company is very open to working things. Like, are you, in a sense, did you get a sense that they're very committed to this, that if, there's an offer from a WWE, AEW, that they wouldn't kind of jump and abandon, in a sense, of project? How do you feel about their commitment, especially Adam and EC3, to this and continue this, as opposed to potentially maybe getting an outside offer to leave, and other companies might restrict them from doing that, that sort of essence? What sort of commitment did you see from them that they're really set out to do this for the long term?
Well, I was privy to a few communications from some folks and other parts of the industry that I saw firsthand their commitment to their promotion, control your narrative, let's say, and I saw that that comes first and foremost. Excuse me, and that if there is anything that happens with, perhaps one of the big dogs out there, that CYN has to continue on in their role in it. So I don't want to, I want to respect their business dealings, but I certainly saw enough to give us confidence that Adam and EC3 and really that entire team, JC and Eric behind the scenes, are fully committed. They're all in more ways than one, putting their money where their mouth is in a lot of respects. And we value a partner like that. We know they're going to work their rear ends off for us, and we're going to do the same for them and all of our partners.
Yeah, which is cool, and there's always so much talent out there, to the potential of gaining talent too, that's out there in independence and whatnot. I actually I was looking at your site, either I see like Matt Hardy's doing a live podcast, that's a contracted wrestler in one of the big promotions. How were you able to kind of get him on board and, the freedom to have him on your network too? That's pretty cool. That's a big timer right there.
Well, I think the great thing about wrestling, whether it's, even a Matt Cardona, who's everywhere right now, he's kind of proven, and some others. And we have New South Pro Wrestling. They have Danhausen coming through their ring. Warrior Wrestling will be premiering here in just about 2 weeks in the month of April on Pro Wrestling TV. Their women's champion has been Thunder Rosa for the last few months. So I think because forbidden doors are open right now, and I credit the likes of Tony Khan and some others in the industry with creating a landscape and a climate in the industry where that's embraced. I think that the promotions we work with are benefiting from it. And as a result, our network and our audience are going to see some great names that they typically associate with one of the big 2 or 3 promotions in the world are going to come through these rings in a very meaningful way. They're not just going to be one-offs or, isolated spots and they're one and done. So that's why we want the audience to have an experience where you never know who might pop up on the promotions and on our network any given night. And that's really exciting, because as we talked about being lifelong fans, the surprise element and seeing some of your favorites, whether it's the stars of today or legends of yesterday, is all part of it. And then beyond that, discover some of the new talent that's being cultivated who you may see on the grandest stages of them all in no time to come. And they'll be on our network as well. So it's a good mix in terms of in-ring talent for sure.
No question. Did you think about, people finding this? It's always the most important thing, sort of, when you're starting up a network, like how are people, the outsiders, going to find you? And, word of mouth is great, but then to get the more of the crowd coming through, what has been kind of your outlook on that? How are you going to get people to the network? I mean, I know some of the other, there's sometimes networks that I kind of partner up with, like Roku and stuff, where their app is available to stream on there. Is something you thought about, partnering up with certain maybe things like Roku, maybe to have it available on your TV in a sense? People who have that can plug in and access your network, or what's kind of the plan that you have in mind to reach the broader audiences?
Yeah, Jim, it's like you've been in some of our team meetings the last few days, because we've been talking.
I've done this stuff myself, I know.
Okay, yeah, the lay of the land. Well, actually, you're right. Is working with our service providers is going to be a key way, because a lot of people in this day and age tend to live in terms of their content consumption within whatever smart device they have, whether it's Roku or Vizio or Apple TV. So we actually have some things in the works with our partners where you can find our network via the app, the on-demand app on their smart devices. And then also creating that linear channel experience is a huge way to gain discovery. We hope that will drive people to our network for the on-demand viewing, because not everything will necessarily be in that 24-hour a day linear schedule. So there's so much more in our on-demand, and working with our service providers, our channel will be in over 200 million homes throughout the world by the end of April. People can follow us on social media, by the way, at PWTV, or visit our website, prowrestlingtv.live, for a full list of where our channel can be found. But we want you to experience it however is best. And discovery in this day and age, a lot of times also comes back to good old channel surfing, which is why the name of our network was a no-brainer. We're Pro Wrestling TV. I don't see how anybody can question that or be confused about what we have
Great
to
name.
offer.
I mean,
So
for you to be
yeah,
able to have that, not being
yeah,
like
get it
available.
straightforward and get it out there, right? So if you're
Yeah.
channel surfing, you see Pro Wrestling TV, you're a fan, come and see us. I think you're going to be really excited about the mix of content. You're going to see some of your favorite wrestlers doing their thing outside of the ring, pursuing some of their interests beyond wrestling too over time, which I think will be really cool. But yeah, obviously discovery is a huge consideration right now, given how much content there is out there, and the growth of not just the programming, but the distribution channels like ourselves. So that's why we're looking to carve out our niche in a way where it's all pro wrestling all the time. We're targeting the wrestling fan. We're not about any other combat sport or professional sport or any other genre. So but yeah, and we ask, we join shows like yours to get the word out, and appreciate the opportunity to tell the audience about it.
Yeah, no question. And you mentioned the website. Well, yeah, shoot it off. Where they can find it. And I saw there's a sign up in there. Is there a subscription plan? Like, how does it sort of work? There's free content where you can just access right away. It's live streaming or just ready to go. And there's some that's
right.
behind a locked wall. How do people access that? And is there a payment structure or whatnot?
So right now, everything is absolutely free. Even if you see the locked content, just set up a profile and you'll get access to it. Now, couple caveats to that. Many of our partners, for instance, this month, AAA, Lucha Libre will have their first Triple Mania of the year. That'll be a pay-per-view offering. Eventually, you'll be able to access that under our free model as well. But that was really important to us, Jim, because it's not hyperbole to say that people have never had to work harder to make a buck in this day and age. And we know that every time all of us turn around, there's some type of service, whether it's entertainment or otherwise, looking to take some of those hard-earned dollars. So we wanted to put this out for free. The buy-in is you're going to have a few ad breaks an hour. And the more we get to know you as a viewer, they're going to be targeted toward your interests. You might even see some of your favorite wrestlers taking part in some of the ads as well. But in that sense, we really followed the Tubi TV model, which has become the biggest over-the-top service over the last years. It's exponentially outgrown the likes of Netflix and other paid services. So we saw there is an opportunity for a free network like ours. Again, there's going to be some premium content, mainly in the form of pay-per-views, where it's up to you if you want to buy, and you can have that access under the pay-per-view model. And after a few months, as we get to know our audience's appetite, we can easily, and we likely will, offer a subscription with no ads based on what we're learning about our audience's appetite. But again, there's so much great content out there. We didn't want any of our fans to be restricted by having to pay another $10 or $15 a month, because we think that even with a couple ad breaks an hour, what we are building here is going to keep the wrestling fan coming around every day. And that's what we're offering under that free model.
I don't think there's any model in any service that doesn't have, ads. You just need that to support the network, especially if you're getting free content,
Absolutely.
So that's very, very fair and reasonable in that essence. And that's really cool that, just signing up, putting in, email and information, whatnot, gets you all this free content. Because, when you're discovering something and having everything pretty much available for you from the start, that's appealing. That's really appealing stuff, to be able to indulge in content and not have to, pay right away or not know what you're getting in a sort of sense like this. What you're getting and it's free at your disposal. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic way to really draw in the kind of casual crowd, or the crowd that's just getting notice of this. That's really cool that you're doing that.
We appreciate that, Jim. Yeah. And like I said, we're excited about the content. It's highly curated. We take a lot of pride in the work we're doing to identify high quality content, whether it's from the talk shows, the outer ring stuff, or to the in ring. So we want the fans to come and enjoy it. And look, you and I have been wrestling fans for our whole lives. We know that wrestling gets people through a lot of stuff in life. And especially the last 2 years, it's never really been harder. I can't remember a harder time on people since I've been alive. So we know wrestling can get you through, and we don't want to create any financial hurdles for you to access it on our network.
That's fantastic. That's a really good model. And as a guy who's been in TV, you know where the trend's heading. It totally seems like, from talking to you, and you understand what's out there in a sense, in a marketplace, and how viewers are drawn to things. So I think you really have a good idea for a model. And yeah, I can't wait when it's available even more widespread, when you're searching these, on these streaming things, like you mentioned Roku and Apple TV, and you get a app that says Pro Wrestling TV. How can you not click on that, right? I mean,
Absolutely. And there's no excuse not to get in there. Let us know who you are, because we really want to engage with our fans. We want to learn more about what the fans are interested in. And not only will we be available more widespread throughout the world in English, but in the months to come, you're going to see some exciting announcements about other languages, because wrestling is really a global sport, a global passion for fans around the world. So we're excited to increase our footprint beyond the English speaking community as well.
I love the diverse content too. I think I saw shows about like toy collectibles, about wrestlers talking about it.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of crossover, Jim.
Yeah, that's really cool to have that crossover and perspective from your favorite performers, in a sense, talking about everyday things. I think that's also a major catch too, to sort of get that personal side of them, outside of the ring, and see their interests and likes, and kind of navigate outside of wrestling discussion too. I think that's always fun and interesting to see.
Yeah, we agree. And I grew up in an era, I think we're of similar eras, where we didn't have social media or the internet. So,
right.
I always kind of wondered, did the Undertaker actually go outside like that? And was that really him? But things have shifted now in the industry. And I think to a great interest to the fans, they like to see their performers and their favorite characters in the ring. They like to see their lives outside of the ring. And there are a lot of other genres. I think the crossover is going to cater to offering the fans on Pro Wrestling TV. For instance, you mentioned we've got programming about some of their favorite wrestling action figures. One of our most popular ever since we launched has been a video game show with Breeze and Sean Spears and some of their buddies. So, you'll see a lot more crossover programming as well. One of our original productions a little bit later this year around Halloween time is going to be with Eric Redbeard, and he's going to be exploring some of the supernatural areas of the US and talking about some of his favorite horror movies. So I think fans really enjoy that, and they gravitate toward their wrestlers. We know wrestling fans are very passionate about following their favorite wrestlers no matter what they're doing. So we're certainly looking to tap into that as well.
From experience of talking to tons of celebrities, entertainers, wrestlers, I think the most common thread, what I've received feedback, is that people love getting to know them outside of their, kind of like their interests outside of what they see on screen. It's always
Absolutely.
a relatable thing. You feel like you're more connected to this person that you see as a larger, like his example, Adam, the Titan, it's a larger than life superhero looking figure. But when you see that you have similar interests, and with people like that, it really draws them to be even a bigger fan and be like, hey, we have the same interest in video games. We have the same interest in movies, or we like the same stuff. It's a really cool connection thing. And it's cool that, talent out there is willing to open up and let themselves, kind of show their real side, outside of the ring or whatever, the screen. And that's cool that you're bringing that content. I think that's really important content that's engaging and fun, and interesting always to see.
Yeah. And that's been part of our strategy as well. And wrestlers, when you give them that creative freedom and you get out of their way, they create some really great stuff. And we've seen it with some of the bigger promotions of the world, obviously, but with us, they have the freedom to create and own that content. So I think fans are really going to be excited to see what's to come with some of the original ideas. I'm learning a lot from the wrestlers. They have such creative minds. They have to, because they have to keep their characters fresh and engaging in a way that the fans keep coming back to them. So that's something at Pro Wrestling TV we're certainly looking to tap into as well.
Yeah, you guys are doing a heck of a job, man. I'm intrigued.
We appreciate that.
I'm very curious and excited to see this sort of new form coming out there, for wrestling fans in general, and the freedom of it. I think that's the key word here, the freedom of, getting to explore all this and, and different diversity of it. I think it's an awesome job you guys are doing, and I'm definitely curious to see what's coming forward, and we'll be following for sure.
Yeah, stay tuned, Jim. And we live in an era where you don't have to be a huge cable outfit to get behind wrestling or to offer it. Yeah. In fact, we've seen in the past what happens when wrestling is offered as kind of an afterthought to some of these cable networks. And to us, it's the only thought from the fans to the wrestlers creating themselves. So like I said, follow us on social for any announcements. It's Pro WTV. The website is prowrestlingtv.live. And of course, go into your app store right now, just type in Pro Wrestling TV. In a few of them, you may have to type in Pro Wrestling Television to make sure you find it right up front. But the feedback's been tremendous. We want to thank the fans, everybody who messages us, who's talked to us when we launched in Dallas and told us what they would like to see. And I promise you we're listening. So stay tuned as more announcements come up throughout our first month.
You heard it from the man himself. I love that you guys are accessible and are, in a sense, taking feedback from the fans, because that's always important. If a fan feels like they have kind of a say in it, or like they're being considered, I think that means a lot, to the consumer in a sense in that way. So that's awesome. Once again, what you guys are doing.
Whatever you want, man. We appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, I'm a proponent here. So yeah, let's keep this going.
Like I said, and next time I get up to Chicago, Wrigley Field is one stadium I've never been to. So we'll have to take in a game sometime. As long as you don't mind my Braves beating your Cubs. That's the only rule.
Everyone's beating the Cubs these days, so no worries about it.
You're used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, love to stay in touch, Brandon. But thanks so much for your time, and I'll keep on spreading the word about this, and let's keep this moving. It's a cool new movement, man, and I'm behind it, and I think a lot of people will be too, especially where more eyes get on it.
Hey, thanks, Jim, and thanks to everybody for tuning into Pro Wrestling TV. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Talk soon, Brandon.
All right. Take care, Jim. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.